Welcome to class of 2020 senior night. As I told the kids when I was a kid, and probably some of you guys in here, by the time I thought 2020, we were going to be flying in cars like the Jetsons, right? Did anyone else think that was going to be, is that a little better? Is that a better? Not really. How about now? Is that better? Okay. By the time, when I was a little kid, I thought 2020 we were going to be flying around in cars, and here we are, and we are not flying in cars. So we have a lot to do in the next few months, especially with your seniors. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to come. I think it's really important information that we all get on the same page and we have this opportunity. I understand not everything we're going to go over tonight is going to pertain to everyone. I understand you have other things that you may need to do if you need to leave. You are not going to hurt my feelings in the least. If you need to use the restroom, right down the hall, right down there. And if you have questions, let me know as well. A couple of my kids that are here tonight can attest from the looks of my desk, I'm not very organized. But I have to put this together and we are going to go back and forth. So most of my things are different colors. You're flipping through and see all the different colors. So I will say, go to the whatever color, that's just for your reference to go to. If you don't have a pen and you need a pen or a pencil, come get one now so that way you have them. If you, when you checked in, please make sure you check your email, that your email is correct and accurate, because when I send out the group, if you're not on there correctly, then that's going to be a problem. So, with that being said, a little bit about myself. I am Jennifer Niederklein. This is my third year of being the high school counselor here at Frontenac. How many of you just, by a show of hands, how many of you, this is your first child graduating from Frontenac? Okay, so this is a lot new. How many of you, this is your first child graduating from Frontenac with me as their counselor? Okay, so things are, you may have a little bit different. How many of you, this is your last child graduating? Woohoo! I always get a woohoo! Yes! There is a different tier that's falling down in graduation from your first kid graduating to your last kid graduating. So, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet with my own. But I get it. I understand. So, just a little bit about my role. I have 3 jobs: academic, social and emotional, and career. Those 3 have a lot of different components and a lot of different areas that we address and go through. So it's like always in something, always going on, something is always going on. So that's just a little bit about it. I tell the kids my job is to make sure you graduate. So that means your classes, your schedule, you're passing everything, getting what you need for the next level past graduation. Because currently, a high school diploma alone may not be enough for what they want to do in the job market in order to be successful. So, looking at that post-secondary going on past high school graduation. The third one, career, which includes career decisions, college admissions, and scholarships. We are going to cover several of those things. And I used to say to parents, if your kid's going into the military or not going to college, you can go. But what I found is sometimes they decide they're going to go into the workforce, and then a year later want to go into college, and they've missed all of those things. Or the military, or something happens. So it's better to have all of the information up front rather than not at all. I shared this with the kids, and emotional roller coaster. Whether you're there with your child or whether your child's there on their own, senior year is very much so an emotional roller coaster. So we have them happy and we have them scared. A lot of times what I have found is that they have been waiting for their senior year for so long and have built it up in their head what it's going to be, and it finally gets here, and that's not what it is. So they have a lot of decisions, they have a lot of stress, they have a lot of things going on where they thought, oh, it's going to be great, and it's not. So quite literally an emotional roller coaster. Most of you and most of your kids have been somewhere in there, a couple of them already, and I understand, and that's okay. That's okay. It also looks like this. I'm a big fan of emojis. Sometimes I'm one more than the other, and it just happens. So try to always look that this is a temporary. We'll get it fixed and go on from there. My contact information. There is my email, there is my school phone, and my cell phone number, and I put within reason, because if you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning for a scholarship question, I'm probably going to hang up on you. So, but if you have a question or you have something is going on and you need something, feel free to get in touch with me if it's imperative, that it can't wait, that sort of thing. So within reason. Also, I put a couple of a section on there for my counselor website. If you go to the Frontenac homepage and go to Students, FHS Counselor, and here is my website that I post everything to. I need to update, and Ryan was out today, so updating did not happen, but you can see at the top where it has the financial aid links, interested in Pitt State, ACT. So a lot of different things, a lot of different sections will be on there, and I will also post scholarships on there when we get to that. So that is a good communication piece that you have available. The kids can also go there and make appointments with me. Parents can go and make appointments with me. If you want to talk about something and not have your child know, you can make an appointment with me, and it grays out if I'm not available. So right there on the home page, make an appointment. And if I'm not available, or if I'm gone, or whatever it is, or if somebody else has a meeting, so you can do that, put in your email, and make an appointment. So that's how the kids make appointments with me. So USD 249 graduation credits have not changed. The requirements have not changed. Still 28 credits in order to graduate. Does anyone see Spanish on there? My seniors that are in here, do you have to have Spanish to graduate? Do you have to have Spanish to go to college? What do you have to have Spanish for, to be considered for? Kansas Scholars. So I have a lot of parents that say, oh, they don't have Spanish, they can't get to Pitt State. That's not the case, okay? So those requirements have changed. Kansas Scholars curriculum is the 2 years of foreign language, 2 consecutive years of foreign language, and physics, but they do not have to have it in order to obtain a Girard High School, I was with the Girard counselor today, a Frontenac High School diploma. Also, regardless of what they're going through, all of the diplomas are the same except for their name. There's not a regular diploma, a Kansas Scholars diploma, a Kansas Scholars Completer diploma. All of the diplomas are exactly the same except for the name, okay? Today, I was at Pitt State for the entire day, and right now in Topeka, KBOR is going through some legislative changes, maybe not, we don't know, what they're deciding to do on Regents curriculum. The decision was today, and they haven't released what their decision was. So as of now, this is what I'm going off of. Once I get that information, I will pass that along to students. But as of a week ago, this was the requirement to be accepted into a Regents college. Okay, so the 6 state colleges in Kansas, KU plays by their own rules sometimes, but this is for automatic admission, no issue whatsoever. Now here's what I also tell the students. They will find a way to take your money, okay? So they have exceptions windows if you don't meet one of the components. So don't look at that and say, oh, I don't have this, so I can never go to college. That's not the case. Maybe it's better to bridge between going to a 2-year college then to a four-year college, transferring after 24 credits. Maybe it's you have an extra class or an academic advisor, but it is not something that you cannot go to college without that. So if you would at this time, turn to the very last 2 pages in your booklet. There's a white one and a salmon paper. And most of your students I went over, there were a handful of kids that were not here the day that I went into government. So if you turn to the white paper, most of them I've had highlighted and check marks and circles and everything. This is their 6th semester transcript. So I go by hand and I look for all of the classes that they've met the requirements. Turn the page to the salmon page. Then I go through and double check and see what they're missing to make sure they're on. I don't trust technology enough to just click the button and make sure everything's good. So I do it both ways. So the salmon paper is kind of their degree audit. The white page is their transcript. Okay? Go back to their transcript real quick. That's the white one that has writing all over it. In the bottom left corner is their current GPA at the end of last semester and their class rank. The students found their class rank. You just divide the number by the total number there are. They also know that this is going to change. This semester will post in December. I will resend this out, their 7th semester transcript, to students in January. Then in May, about a week after they graduate, then I'll send it out again. So it's not in stone, okay? So that's what they need to use for scholarships now. In January, it will be a different number or a different amount. You want a high GPA closer to 4.0 and a low class rank. So that's the percentage. Also on there in your students' handwriting, I had them come up with 3 realistic obtainable goals for this year as they graduate. We talked about if you have a 2.5 GPA right now, getting a 4.0 is not mathematically possible, okay? So what are 3 realistic obtainable goals? So if you want to take a second to just look at what your kid put down for their realistic obtainable goals, I think some of those are pretty spot on. Pretty spot on. Okay? So there is where you can see the information, how that corresponds with ACT or with GPA and class rank, why that's important. Okay? I have seniors every year that think that their class rank doesn't matter or their grades for 2nd semester doesn't matter. They couldn't be more wrong. Okay? So they do matter. They do matter. All right, so if you want to turn back to slide 8 for me. Again, those are private, so I've asked the kids to really take care of, I take their transcripts and their GPAs and all of that stuff very private. So that's why they're in the folders and I handed them out to you whenever you came in. So the students, I will email their 6th semester transcripts to them so they have them. And I will also email their 7th semester transcripts and then their final transcripts at the end. Okay? So slide 8, qualified admissions. This is a program that I probably would have went through. My GPA in high school wasn't hot. My one time I took my ACT wasn't hot. I wasn't really getting any scholarships at either place. So Pitt State and Fort Scott have an agreement where you can attend Pitt State on campus, but you're really a Fort Scott student. You pay the Fort Scott fees, you take Fort Scott classes, but you're attending at Pittsburgh State. This is great for some kids. It's terrible for other kids, because some kids can go to Pitt State and get a ton of scholarships and have it paid for. Some kids can go to Fort Scott and have a ton of scholarships and get it paid for. If you do this, you're ineligible for scholarships at either place. Okay? So no scholarships from Pitt State or no scholarships from Fort Scott. So some kids it works great, some kids it doesn't. Okay? You can only have 24 credits and then you have to transfer. So some of my kids take a lot of dual credit classes in college and may already have 20 credits or 18 credits. This isn't going to work for them. For some kids, this this is a lifeline that they can get 2 years of education at Pitt State for the Fort Scott price. Okay, so this is an option. They can take the AccuPlacer or the ACT. When they go to enroll, I always say it's okay to enroll both times, both places, and I will walk them through that. That way, if they change their mind, if something else changes, then they have that option. Okay? So that is a pretty good thing. One thing that's important, they must have a Crawford County address. So if you don't have a Crawford County address, that does not work for you. Kansas Scholars Curriculum. This is the one that you have to have chemistry and physics and 2 years of foreign language. If a student has completed this more rigorous curriculum, then I submit all of their information to the state. The state takes all of the completers in the state of Kansas. It's typically about 7,000 students across the state complete this. And then they take the top of the top, and they have this whole matrix and math thing that I cannot do. But they take the top ACT and GPAs, and they offer those students a 4-year renewable $1,000 a year scholarship. It's typically about an ACT of 30 and a GPA of 3.91 is typically what it is. So you can graduate with D's in all of those classes and be a completer, but the likelihood of you receiving a scholarship is highly unlikely. But it is an option. That's also, since it's from the state of Kansas, it's only good at Kansas schools. So if you receive that and you choose not to go to a Kansas school, you can't get that scholarship. That is a Kansas thing. That has nothing to do with me. I don't know what the GPA and the index is going to be this year. It depends on the applicants. But it usually hovers around that 30 and 3.9. Okay? Testing. My kids that are in here, does everyone have to take the ACT? No. Some need to take it now. Some may never have to take it. And that's okay. If they are going straight to a 4-year university, most likely they'll need to take the ACT. Okay? You can go to a 2-year college taking the AccuPlacer and then transfer to a 4-year and never have to take the ACT, depending on what your major is. So currently at Pitt State, and I keep referring to Pitt State because it's geographically closest, right guys? If I said Emporia State, I've never had a kid go to Emporia State, so I can't tell you what that is. But at Pitt State, for example, the College of Education, Construction, Nursing, and Business all require a 22 or higher on the ACT. So you could go to Labette for 2 years and get your RN and never take the AccuPlacer, never take the ACT. But if you want to do the 2 and 2 program at Pitt State, where you finish your RN at a different school, transfer to Pitt State to get your BSN in nursing, you have to have a 22 on your ACT. And it's typically better to take it when you're in high school and those concepts are fresh and new, rather than waiting. Same thing with the College of Education, Construction, and Business. Now those could change at any time, okay? So that's just what it is. But it is, you can avoid taking the ACT, but you may have to take it later on as well. There are 2 fee waivers. Is students who receive free and reduced lunches. If you receive that, you can receive that. On slide 10, mark off the 55 or 50/50 price. They change it every year, so it's $52 now. Also, there will be schools that you can send it to up to 4. I encourage kids to send it to any 4 that's on their radar. ACT will be happy to send them to more schools, but it is an additional $12 per school. If you want to turn in your booklet to the bright pink piece of paper, it's right after the white parts, the bright pink. I think it's called re-entry red. But there is a breakdown of the dates. Remember your juniors last year got to take the ACT for free? That's the February 25th. That's not offered for seniors free this year, okay? So that's why that is right aligned in that chart. So that's not for seniors. So if you want to mark that off, that's great. I had my seniors put a little dot, something by the December 14th deadline. Because for most of the time, having the ACT, the sooner the better, gets them more scholarship money. I was at Pitt State today. I found out a whole lot of information. They told me they will take ACT later on. So if your student takes the April 4th ACT and they qualify and there's still money left, they can get it. The issue is if there's still money left. So the sooner the better on that. Okay, so they can take it. Other testing will be ASVAB. So if a student is looking at going into the armed services, they can take the ASVAB. It is required for military and the score is good for 2 years. So if they want to take it now, retake it just like any other test. There are study aids and things that they can do to prepare for that. The ACT work keys that juniors had the option to take last year as well, if they're going into a trade or workforce, that is definitely something that they can redo. I know Crossland Construction, depending on how they score on the work keys, could depend on how much of a raise they get per hour. So some of them are getting $1 hour more per hour, depending on that one test result. Good thing for the kids, there are no state assessments this year. Yes, ma'am?
On that work keys, so it's not the same thing as that
No, work keys is totally different than Accuplacer. ACT does it all. Accuplacer is a placement test to go into community colleges. So they can take that at community colleges, and it's one of those, I tell the kids, it's a test that the more you get right, the longer it goes. And so that determines, depending on what range you fall in, depends on what English or math class you go into. I've had kids that are finished in 5 minutes, and I've had kids that after 2 hours, I'm like, dude, just push C. Come on, we've got to go. You know, so the more they get right, the higher it is. The Accuplacer, they can take numerous times, and they just make an appointment with the community college, and I think after 3 times, it's like $5. Okay? I talked to the students. Here's just a little bit of a, should I take the ACT? Should I not take the ACT? Okay? What are they planning to do after high school? Yes or no? Are they going to study or are they going to show up? Okay? Not everyone has to take the ACT, and that's just fine. Preparing for the ACT, I think everyone should study, needs to study. This red Bible, as I call it, it's like $20 on Amazon. It has 5 real tests. The reason I love this book is because it not only has the right answers, it has why it's right, and it has the wrong answers and why they're wrong. So rather than just saying number 14 is C, it tells you why it's C and what you had to do for that. Okay? We are also looking at having someone come here to teach a prep class, ACT prep class in November and possibly again in January. That's $45. I put those dates on there. Those are tentative at this point in time. Timeline. So this is important for them to have a personal Gmail account that is appropriate and represents themselves well. So that way, when they are applying for scholarships or colleges, they're using that, not school email, because they may not always want to use their Frontenac email or whatever that is. So having one that's set up, I recommend Gmail because they can transfer all of their current Google Drive straight over to that one. So that way they have that. ACT, college visits, looking at career options, attending presentations, ongoing, checking emails. I send a lot of emails, and I know they don't pertain to everyone. And I told the kids, and it's fine for you guys too, a need or decline junk and a need or decline important. But I am not gonna send just a group of people something, just the Fort Scott, or just the welding, or just the whatever, because I don't know how many times your kids change their mind this week. So everyone is going to get everything, and I understand it's a lot, okay? But I don't wanna be the determining factor if your kid gets information or not. Does that make sense? So I understand it's a lot. I get a lot, and I forward a lot, but I would rather you be over-informed rather than not knowing anything. If you turn to the very front of your booklet, I put in a piece of paper there when we checked in. This is what I got from Pitt State today, so put PSU up at the top. That is PSU specific. Sorry, it's not a great copy. I had to take a picture and send it while I was there. So, some of those we're going to go over. On the October 5th, is that Rumble in the Jungle? Yeah. Okay, Rumble in the Jungle on October 5th is a free event that students can go to, parents can go to. They'll feed you chicken, get free ticket to the game, and if they attend Rumble in the Jungle October 5th, they will waive their $30 online application fee. So that's a pretty good deal. So if they attend Rumble in the Jungle on October 5th, they will waive the application fee of $30. Now, if your kid is a dual credit kid and they've already paid the application fee, I don't know what they're going to do. But you get a free ticket, you get to the game, you get free food, and $30 that they'll pay the application fee. So really, I don't see how it's a losing deal. I think they pay LA Lincoln, is that maybe right? So that is information from Pitt State only, okay? So other colleges may have different timelines and different things, but I wanted to share that out. And there are a couple things that they don't even have on there either, but that's okay. College visits, ±2. Now, I get really, this concerns me a lot. Because I have students who already signed up to go to the military, and they know what they're doing, they know what they need to do, they are active in their PT, and they're doing all of those things. They're not going to college, they don't need a college visit, right? They know exactly what they're doing, they know their ship date, they know those sort of things. So they may need a lot fewer than 2 college visits. I may have somebody that is looking at something that they are not sure, and they may need 4 or 5 legit college visits. Everyone is different. I have a very difficult time saying every kid gets 2 college visits because some may need 0 and some may need 4. Now, I've told the kids if it's every Friday when you have this class, or it's every Friday when there's a whatever, then it's going to be something different. But if it's legit, talk to me. We can set it up. I'm taking everyone to Pitt State in October, so everyone will have their one Pitt State full on everything, okay? I'll have a group going to Fort Scott for senior day. Levette has senior day. I'm taking kids to Coffeyville. If it's like Bend, Oregon Community College, you're on your own, okay? So that's how it goes. But talk to me, have those conversations, and we'll make it work. Listen for announcements for college reps, because we have a lot of colleges that will start coming here in about another 2 weeks, and about every week I have a different college coming. I told the kids, come to every one, because 2 things will happen. One, hey, I didn't know they had that. That sounds kind of cool. Or no way, that's definitely checked off my list. Either way, it could be beneficial. So have them come to those colleges when the colleges come. Financial aid. What's today, Wednesday? On Monday, I spent 3 full hours listening to 4 different presenters on financial aid. Let me tell you, that was exciting. So, here is a little chart, an overall comparison. These are estimates of a community college, a local state college, and the largest state college. And also, we have several private schools in the state of Kansas that are awesome. I tell the kids they are awesome, but they're very expensive as well. And a lot of times they will offer a $10,000 or $12,000 academic scholarship, but they're still very, very expensive, okay? If they live at home at Pitt State, if they live within 50-mile radius, they can stay at home or on campus. Same thing with Fort Scott. So room and board may be eliminated. But your student you may want a meal plan at one of those places, but they're living at home, however that works. So that is a very loose estimate based off of their websites. KU's room and board, I put $7,500. It ranges from $6,000 to $14,500 for room and board. Okay, so I just picked a number. I picked 75, and that's easy math for me. So I picked 75. I don't know where or what they're going to eat, where they're going to live, or what they're going to eat. So somewhere in that area. So financial aid is considered grants, loans, work study, and scholarships. There's a lot. There's a lot available, and there's a lot that you can go through, okay? The loans are the things that you have to pay back. Everything else is considered free money as long as you meet the requirements. If they don't meet the requirements, they will politely not give them free money anymore. That's fair, right? That's fair. So how you get there is completing the free application for federal student aid. Underline, circle the word free. If somebody says, I will charge you and we can go through this together and I will charge you $50 to do this, do not do it. It's a free application. They're not going to get you any more money than what it is. It is not as big and bad as scary as what some people make it out to be. It's time consuming. It is kind of like doing your taxes. It's kind of like doing your taxes. You answer the same questions over and over, it seems like. But it is definitely worth it. This is used to award different things. So some people say, I make too much money, I'm not going to be awarded any grant anyway, so I'm not going to fill it out. Some scholarships are contingent upon your FAFSA information, so still filling it out. There are a lot of scholarships that you have to show that information. So you may not get a grant, but to get a loan or even work study, you still have to complete that. Okay? How it is figured is each college has a cost of attendance. So the college determines books, tuition, transportation. They have all of these things worked in, room and board, everything. So they have a cost of attendance. Then they subtract your expected family contribution, which is found from completing the FAFSA, and then that's where the financial need comes in. So the cost of attendance is going to be greater at K-State than the Lebec Community College. Cost of attendance is going to be the same. Expected family contribution isn't going to change. You can only give in what you can get in regardless of where they go to school. So your EFC typically does not change. The cost of attendance changes. So that's where it comes in pretty tricky. Okay? The maximum for the next school year is for Pell Grant is $6,195. So a student that goes to a community college, they work hard, they have a high GPA, an ACT score. If they're Pell eligible, they can get all their scholarships plus that Pell, so they can get paid to go to college. This is not just a 4-year. This is not just going to Lebec. This is CTEC. This is cosmetology school. This is any sort of post-graduation that is affiliated with an organization, okay? So wanting to go on, I have a ton of CTEC kids that are doing great things and they're working on their one certificate now and they're halfway done with another. They can fill out FAFSA and use it to complete their second certificate. So that could be very, very important, okay? I put the link on there, and you can follow. I left it on there. That is an estimate. So you can put in age of parent 1, age of parent 2, how many students in the household, how many people in the household, how many people going to college, and the average make, and they will give you a pretty rough estimate of what you could get. That's not final. That's just an estimator. Okay, it's like going to the Kelley Blue Book. That doesn't mean that's what I'm getting on my car. That's just a rough estimate of what you'll get. So that's on there. What happens is that those funds are distributed to the college, the university, in mid-October, and then any overage is sent back to the student. So reimbursed. Who can get federal aid? They have to meet these requirements. If they don't meet those requirements, there could be extra options, but making sure your student has that. Males, there will be a part that you can register for the selective service right there. And again, if you get it the first year and you flunk out, a student flunks out, then you may not be eligible for free money the following year. So you have to meet those requirements. So, how can I get other kinds of financial aid? States, colleges, and private scholarships have their own set criteria. Every college, university, community college, has their own little pot of gold that they can distribute out. Okay? Turn to your bright pink. You have one bright pink that says financial aid programs. It's this bright pink. It's not the magenta or the reentry red. It's this bright pink. And then there are two pale pinks behind it. Those are all sorts of different programs that have the different types of loans, grants, what's available, what the criteria is. I'm a chart person. I made up the first one because it's way easier for me to just look and see, okay, I'm not going to be a nurse, I'm not going to do this, keep on going. Okay? The other two are from the financial aid department that I got yesterday when I did the financial aid understanding and going through everything. Those are specific to the state of Kansas, those pink ones, and then the website availability as well. So those are available as well for resources. So back to slide 24. So first thing you have to do is get an FSA ID. Your student needs an FSA ID and the parent needs an FSA ID. Typically they say the parent that provides 51% or greater of the responsibility. So yeah, I have a slide later on who is my parent, and I know some of everyone's different, every situation is different, so you have to think in my family who provides 51%, and that's the information that we use. So the first one is to get a PIN at pin.edu.gov. Okay? That sounds really easy, right? You sign up and you get a PIN, right? Sounds really easy. Yes. Actually, the PIN, I think, is the most difficult component. So what I have done is made a purple on your purple page. Now, purple is parent and blue is student. So write that up on the top. Purple, on the purple page, write parent. On the purple page, write parent. And 2 pages later is the exact same thing, but it's blue. Write student. So, in order to get an FSID, the parent needs one. So if you have other students in college, your FSA ID is the same for you as a parent. But your student will need one. So what I did is I went through and I printed off all the steps in order for you to get your FSA ID. Here's my recommendation. Use this and write it down because you're going to use it one time and then you're going to use it again the following year. So I don't know about you, but I don't know my stuff when I enter it one time a year. I have to look it up. So I have my kids and my parents write everything down. Username, I put it in and make sure it works. Brooklyn Y and J meter climb. Trust me. Okay? I know, crazy. Okay? So write that in. Password, confirm password. On the next page, you have to put all of your other information. On the next page, your email. Sometimes people change emails and phone numbers, and if you opt into the text alert, that may be the only thing. And if you change your number, and you don't know what number you changed from or to or whatever, it could be a mess. So I really think the best thing is for you to write everything down in this section. The next page is not on here, but go to the back of the purple. It says possible challenge question answers, or possible challenge questions. You have to come up with, I believe it's 5 challenge questions. Question 1 is a pull down from that list. Question 2 is a pull down from that list. Question 3 is a pull down from that list. Question 4 and 5 are random questions that can't be questions from that list. So you have to come up with something totally different, and then if you get locked out, if you put in your email wrong or your password wrong, you'll have to recheck. Well, I don't remember if I did a capital or a lowercase. I don't know if I spelled it out or if I wrote it out. I don't remember which one it is. So use that as a guide to help you. Parent needs one, and the student needs one. So the student is blue. To me, those colors are pretty similar. The purple and blue kind of have that same shade of the copies that I gave you, right? It is way closer on the actual FAFSA because the purple, it just says purple and it says parent, and then you're clicking along, and all of a sudden it's changed colors, and now it says student, and you're still putting in your stuff. So that's why I put those colors on there for you, really to make sure that you're putting in parent stuff on parent and student stuff on student. So you create your FSA ID, and you can do that now. Your student create their FSA ID, and they can do that now. So all of that can be done now. So that's the first thing. On page 24, or on slide 24, excuse me. So first step is to get a pen. You can do that now. So I would write now on that. You can do that now. Get your 2018 financial information. If you filed electronically, which most of us do, there is an IRS data retrieval tool. So you may not need the actual taxes. My tax people are probably saying, yes, you do. You need to make sure and verify everything. So you know, however you feel. All of the information for parents and students. On slide 26 is the common issues. Common issues are putting in mom's social security number for the kid. That's a huge issue. Or mom's going to create both of them, mine and the kids, but putting in the wrong date, putting in the wrong social. Those get mixed up quite a bit and are huge. So the recommendation is to actually have the social security card there, and you do everything, you follow through, that sort of thing. The next couple of slides talk about independent and dependent. A lot of my kids want to say that they're independent because they don't want to listen to rules, right? Right? But that is what the government determines as a dependent or an independent student on slide 27. Who is my parent, depending on your family makeup, how that would look, and go from there, and whose information to report. Slide 29 talks about the IRS data retrieval tool. Here's what I know about IRS data retrieval tool. When it works, it's awesome. When it works, it's awesome. When it works, it's awesome. When it doesn't work, it makes things interesting, okay? So it's one of those things to where I had really good luck with it working last year. That was my first year that it worked probably 95% of the time on my parents. So when it works, it's beautiful. When there's an issue, there's an issue. If it says the site is down, wait 2 days and try again. So that's where it is. If you want to look at the bright yellow that's right past this, I stole this from Kentucky. This is the best checklist that I have found that goes exactly what you need, step by step, what to do. I always encourage kids to have a plan B. So for my kids that have already said, I'm not going to college, I'm going to XYZ or I'm whatever, I still encourage you to fill this out because I would rather know for sure that I could get the money rather than in May they change their mind and then there's nothing available. Does that make sense? FAFSA opens October 1st. It's a giant pot of money. Once it's gone, it's gone. So some kids may be eligible for this full $6,200 if they applied in October, but if they waited till May, there may be only $3,000 left for them, or whatever the situation, okay? So the earlier, the better. That way at least you have an idea of what is an option and what to do. So this yellow page is honestly the best thing that I have found. It goes through the checklist, what you'll need, dependent or independent, and then how to use the IRS data retrieval tool is on the back. When it works great, okay? And it did last year, okay? So I'm going to remain optimistic. If you choose not to use that, you'll need to make sure you have all of your tax documentation and exactly the number and follow the line, 17A, 43B, everything exactly what it says to walk you through. So right now, on slide 24, you'll get a pen. You can do that now. You'll have your financial aid or your financial information. After October 1st is when FAFSA opens. I don't like to do anything the first day it opens. I just don't. I want to give it a couple days if there are any glitches that they get that taken care of. So when I go to do my kids, I'm going to wait a couple of days after it opens, right? You may want to go ahead and do that, and that's fine, and it may work fine, okay? But I like to wait just a couple of days and make sure everything is okay because they are literally having hundreds of thousands of people do this at one time. So, but it opens October 1st for you to start that.
If this says 2020, is that the typo?
What's that?
It says 2020, October 2020, like next year, is that typo?
Where's that at?
On your
It's on the
yellow
front
page?
page.
That is a typo. You should file as soon as possible after October 1st, 2019. It's for the 2020-21 school year. That is, yep. Good catch. So we talked about common issues. We talked about dependent versus independent. Just because they don't want to listen to the rules does not mean that they are independent. So, who is my parent? IRS data retrieval tool. It won't show up as numbers necessarily. It'll show up as transferred data. And then you can check it later on. Okay? Scholarships. In the far back of your folder, taped in the back pocket, back by the transcript, is your child's login information for Career Cruising. Career Cruising is the tool that we use to look at interest inventory and what they need to do. When you came to spring conferences, that's what we use. There is a whole component on there that offers millions of dollars in scholarships. I made a video, went over exactly how to do it with the kids, edited it, saved it, and lost it. So there went 17 minutes of awesome. So I have to redo the video, but that way you have it as well. I want the kids to do it with you, sit down and go over it with you, because it's all sorts of heritage organizations. So if you're a member of 4-H, if you're a member of Farmers Co-op, if you're a member of all sorts of different organizations, there could be scholarships specific to your student. If you work for different companies or have ever had any experience in those companies, there could be scholarships directly affecting your student. So they can go on there. It's all outside. It's not through the school, but follow those. I showed the kids one that was it 1,000 or 2,000 for a zombie? You write Oh, was it 1 or 2? I think it was $2,000 scholarship for writing a story about what you would do in a zombie apocalypse. Nobody's ever paid me $2,000 to do anything like that, or make a poster or a flyer or write anything. So if your student is willing and able and wants to do that, those are options that are available, okay? So when I get that video redone, I will send that out to you. I know everyone wants to hear me talk for 17 minutes, but it could be worth thousands of dollars. Frontenac Education Foundation. In the second to last part, there's a tan page. It's all about Frontenac Education Foundation. That is where, it's the tan page right here. That is the money that comes from FESTA. Every student who graduates from Frontenac High School gets a $150 per semester scholarship for up to 4 years. Again, it doesn't matter what school they attend, as long as they're going into something. That is handled through FEF. That doesn't come through me. So they have their hard deadlines, and they are there August 10th, and then again December 31st. So I send that information out. I blast it on websites and email and text. But if the student doesn't apply for it, they don't get it. It's a real quick form. They put their name, the school, and their student ID, and then they send out those checks to the school. So they send everyone that's going to Emporia, everyone that's going to KU, everyone that's going to Pittsburgh State, and then those get applied into their account. I put read, check, and reply to emails. How many of you already received emails from me on scholarships? Everyone should have. Not all of your kids are going to qualify for those, right? But again, I don't want to be the determining who gets what. That's not what I want to do. In January, I changed one of my bulletin boards to look like this. It's right outside my south door. I email this scholarship information to you and to your student. I will add it onto my website, and then I print out hard copies and put on my bulletin board. And you can't see it very well, but each one of those colored pieces of paper is like a check, and I have the amount and the due date and who it's from, so they can get those. So if I'm emailing it, and I'm uploading it, and I'm putting it out, it's the student's responsibility to complete that by the deadline. So we have right about 70 seniors. I cannot chase them around. So if they want to apply to something, they have to get it in at the time that it's due. Most of those are, actually all of them. I haven't had one scholarship that said, oh, we'll extend the deadline. So for no reason whatsoever. Last year I had an issue. There was a Google update, and about 1st of February for about 3 weeks, not all of my emails were going out to everyone. I thought they were, and they weren't. So if you suddenly stop getting emails from me, let me know. Because you should get probably at least one a week. Because I get them in as soon as I go through. So that will be available for the students as well in January. Again, the pink papers have Kansas aid and different information. Don't forget to check clubs that you are in, the students are in, organizations, churches, your employers. A lot of, I know, KFC and Taco Bell, they have scholarships for their employees, their students. So have your student check with where they're working. If they're working at something, an organization, have them check with that. This is new information for that I found out for financial aid. There is a new Children of Fallen Heroes scholarship. So if anyone has lost a parent as a fire police officer or anything like that, then they are eligible for this scholarship. It's not really a scholarship, it's additional money on top of Pell. Best advice I can give you, do the FAFSA, the earlier the better. Right? Even if they're not sure, even if you think we make too much, because that could cut you out for scholarships or anything else, any other opportunities. Okay? If you do an online, I do the online version. You can do paper pencil. It takes about 8 weeks to process, about 12 weeks to process a signature. So do the online. Have your pen, get everything done online. If you do the data retrieval, the IRS data retrieval tool, they tell us that the chances of being selected as a renewal or a verification are a lot less. So you don't have to go through this, send in extra paperwork to be verified. So if you can use the IRS data retrieval tool, do so. Here are some other additional questions that I wanted to address that didn't really fit in a slide. So let's say the end of the year, your student applies for scholarships and receives scholarships. Most of them are sent directly to the college. If they go through the office, that is in first or second week in August. Your student can pick them up, sign for them. It's made out to student name and the college. They take it to the cashier's office and they put that towards their account. Any overage in their account, the college or university will then reimburse the student for. So we don't just give them a blank check to go do whatever. They have to prove that they are enrolled. If they don't enroll, most of them have a secondary that they can go to. Renewable versus non-renewable. If you find scholarships that are renewable and you meet those requirements, you want to continue to meet those requirements. Most of them that we award at the end of the year is a one-time scholarship. So what happens is at the very end or their first year, they have a whole bunch of scholarship money, and then that sophomore year, that's not there. So checking on renewable scholarships. Frontenac Education Foundation is renewable, you just have to do the timeline. And then anyone who does get a scholarship, they'll be given the list of contacts for thank you notes and that sort of thing at the end of the year. All right, so sports after high school, this will pertain to a very small percentage of people, and I understand that, so thank you. But the 3 divisions for NCAA, Division I, Division II, and Division III, we have a few schools that are Division III around St. Louis, and several in Texas, that sort of thing. So D1, KU, K-State, Nebraska, D2, Pitt State, that sort of thing. The probability, and I printed this out as well, it's the second to last page. Because the probability for NCAA eligibility, now this is going into looking at Division I, II, and III. There is the probability. So, depending on gender and sport, changes things, okay? Depending on looking at D1, D2. If your student is serious and interested, we need to have those conversations and get started on those things now. It's better to do it early rather than wait and be too late. So the NCAA Eligibility Center, the NAIA Eligibility Center for private schools, getting on those, getting everything filled out, whether they use it or not, but at least they have that if they have any offers. I have a lot of great athletes that are spring semester sports, and a lot of times by the time they've had a great softball or baseball or track season, those scholarships are handed out and deadlines are already met. So go ahead and get those done early if your student is interested in that. The front of that white paper is the worksheet for D1 and D2. I can sit down with you and your student and go through that. But again, I wanted to make sure that you had that resource available if that's something that you are looking at. Also in the back pocket is a flyer. It's not copied very well and it's not folded very well. You can thank my 9-year-old for that. You know, we tried. So that is a division or NCAA eligibility flyer that goes through the classes and how many years and that sort of thing that they need that you have available. I also have I just printed off a handful of them, student athlete, college-bound student athlete pamphlets. that is their booklet for NCAA. If you or your student want one of those, you're more than welcome to it, but those are some options that you have available. Lastly, in the very last, you should have a bright yellow page that's right before the transcript. Important dates. Important dates. So, we've already talked about the FAFSA opening here pretty soon. Jostens will be here again for graduation announcements, and they sell a lot of swag and do all of those sort of things. So that is when they will be here. On the 9th is when I'm tentatively taking PSU or all the students to PSU. That could change, and we'll have lunch there at the dining hall at $7 a person. We'll take everyone to a college fair the end of October. November 1st, deadline for some colleges, and then it continues on. So senior day, they can sign up for. Hopefully having the ACT class November 22nd. Honors College, if they have a 3.5 and a 20, I believe it's 6 on ACT, they can apply for Honors College in January. February 1st, if your student is going to PSU, and this was on that PSU, February 1st is the scholarship application deadline. So they must have their application submitted by February 1st in order to be eligible for the scholarships. They can do it now. They may have to redo it as they get closer, depending on their grades for this semester and uploading transcript and that sort of thing. Some of your kids want to go ahead and have it done and get it over with. I encourage them to wait. So I think it's fine to wait, but after February 1st, then it's no more. We go on down through Jostens payments due the end of February. If you order anything from that payment is due at that time. I believe just a cap and gown and stole are about $60, so you'll get that information from them. If you have siblings who've graduated recently and you want to reuse those, I believe the stole is like $15. But whatever you order this fall has to be paid for by then. So just be careful of that. Senior trip is May 6th. Senior banquet, which is when scholarships and recognition will be held, is May 12th. The 13th is senior signing day, that all of the seniors will sign their letter of intent for whatever they choose to do after they graduate from high school. Started that last year, and pretty cool thing. On the 15th, it's their last day. That morning they'll walk through the elementary and see all of the kindergarten, go all the way through all of the whole school, and it's really awesome. Graduation practice and awards, and then graduation, and then I put when FEF scholarships are due. There are a lot more things coming up between now and May 16th. That's an overview. So I will be communicating with you, emailing with you, sending out the text alerts, that sort of thing, and sharing with your student. But that is an overview of right now what I know of that's going on. So I went over a lot, and thank you for listening to me for an hour. Every single one of you are in a different boat. So if you have specific questions about a specific thing that I hit, let me know. Do I have any overall general questions or things that you have questions on? Yes, ma'am?
Once with the Fort Scott and the PSU thing, once they transfer on into the four-year college, are they then eligible for the scholarships after that?
So her question was, if they do the 2 and 2 at Pitt State for 2 years, or at Fort Scott, the qualified admissions, then they go into Pitt State, are they eligible for scholarships? To my understanding, yes, depending on their GPA and how well they did those first 2 years through Fort Scott, then they can go on through that and get those scholarships. But the first year, if they do that, not either place. So it's better to apply at every college or a lot of colleges just to see where you're going to get the most, and especially with technical schools as well, and see where they're going to get that. Okay? I know it was a lot of information. You're glazed, you're hungry, you're tired, I get it, me too. So I appreciate you guys coming, and if you have any questions, get in touch with me. Thank you.